All right, we have uh Tyria, um Tyria Billings. Thank you for coming in.
So nice to see you. I'm excited for our very intuitively led conversation today.
Absolutely, me too. So
Uh,
Tyria, oh,
oh yeah,
Tyria,
go
where you
ahead.
from? Oh, I'm sorry, Tyria, where you from? So today I have Michele Parad here with me. Michele is a visionary spiritual business consultant and the founder of Multidimensional Leaders. Michele empowers entrepreneurs and thought leaders to align their passion with purpose, fostering collaboration and impactful growth. Thank you for joining me
Oh,
today,
thank you.
Michele.
Thank you for the introduction. I really appreciate it. And as you were talking about before, um, you and I are both multidimensional leaders. So we'll definitely go in and unpack what that means for the people
Absolutely.
listening as well. So great to be here. And yeah, it's funny when people read out my bio because I sometimes don't know what's going to come out because I've changed my bio so many times. The essence is still the same, um, but how I describe myself can change depending on who is in the room and who
Okay.
and what I'm guided to share as well. But yes, generally, I do help people uncover their deepest message, uncover, their mission, who they're here to serve, how they're supposed to do that, and what type of role, and then how they're meant to, strategically also market themselves. And so I've kind of put that under the umbrella of thought leader because I think everybody here who is on Substack wants to share their ideas to some capacity. And to me, I call that a thought leader essentially. And so, it's about sharing your unique brilliance, and not, not mimicking kind of the things that are around you, but really, really standing in your truth, reflecting on your own experiences, and then coming from that place of what's the truth for me in this moment and how can I share that? And you'd be surprised, when people uh, feel the same way. So that always, when I shared one of my most vulnerable stories here on Substack, which was about, my journey with my voice. I had, maybe 10 people come out of the woodworks who contacted me and they were like, "Oh my gosh, your story resonates with me so much. Can we talk about this topic?" And I was like, "Sure." Like I didn't even, sometimes you write and you're like, this goes into a black hole. Like I have no idea who's
Right,
receiving this on the other end.
right. Right.
So it's always fun. For me, the most fun about Substack is actually connecting with people, on these lives in a coffee chat, like outside of just the platform to really get to know people on a deeper level. So that's kind of my invitation also to everybody is like, how can we take this live, or in a conversation to deepen our relationships on here. So
Well, Michele,
yeah.
I couldn't agree more because I can't tell you how many conversations I have during the day with individuals on Substack. And that's the most gratifying part of being on Substack is cultivating and nurturing relationships.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I've seen you're like everywhere now. You've got like so many lives stacked up. So you're doing it and showing everyone what's up and for us all to just get really comfortable with, being seen on here and sharing our ideas. So kudos to you, for sure. And I think we met also through another Substack individual, Veronica Lorca Smith. So shout out to her for connecting us in her group. So yeah, that's what it's all about, building community on here. So super excited for that. And how has it been, yeah, building community for you?
Well, it's like anything else. When you first start, it's like you talked about this deep dark hole. Who are you? Where you come from? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So based on that, everybody start the same way, unless, you know somebody or whatever. Okay. Maybe you come from medium and and you have people over here. So that the whole thing is when it's about who you know and who knows you. And this is what I
Mm.
established during my 39-year career, okay, with the Army. Okay. It's all about connections. Okay.
Yeah.
I've moved 8 times. Okay. I was in Iraq for 2 tours. I was in Israel for 2 tours. So um, when you get somewhere and you see that things are not working out as you had planned, okay, I will
Mm.
call up the chief of this district that I used to work for or this person. I'm like, look, I'm having a hard time over here. Do you have any jobs available over there? And most time they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Just wait, and we'll hook you up. We'll get you over here. Don't worry about that. That's what I'm saying. It's all about who you know, and
Sure.
so I'm developing relationships with everybody. Okay, because you
Yes.
never know when it may come in handy. Okay, that's like my get out of jail free
Yeah.
card. Okay,
Yeah. This is funny that we're getting onto this topic because I wrote an article not long ago on rich relationships. It's off the back of the book. Actually, I have it. Hold on one sec.
sure.
That's fun. Rich Relationships by Selena Sue.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I think her um position is to, create an inner circle, create an outer circle, and to be really, really mindful of who you go after for relationships and making sure kind of like what your ask is. Do you have an ask even? I think that's one of the things that some of us might be working on is to do when you come into a conversation. You want to be giving as much as possible. So you want to, ask them, how can I be of service to you? Right. But also trying to receive on the other side of that too is asking, okay, I'm in the middle of writing a book. Like I need people who are, testimonials. I'm just shooting examples, or I've just posted this article on social media. Will you take a look at it and react to it? So I think I think many of us can be good at let's connect and have that initial like deep conversation, but then in a way to further that, it's important to maintain the relationship and also have that give and take in play. And so I think that's, curated, that's with intention. And we don't have time to necessarily do that with everybody. And so that's
Uh,
why, you know, it's like curating those people that are really on your side and are there to support you. And so, she goes into different metrics of how to go about that. And so super encourage you guys to check it out. But yeah, I do think that my business is really built on um connections. And I think we were talking about human design before, but my human
yes.
design is specifically around networking. And so, why not lean into your superpower there? And so, it's for me, it's the most fun thing I could do is really like connecting deeply with people and seeing how I can connect the dots for them as well. Where can I steer them to a resource or something potential for them? Yeah, it just gives me like so much joy to do that. And so I think I encourage people, like, I mean, it not everybody loves networking, but if it is something you do enjoy, I think leaning into it is really helpful in this day and age. Especially, because we're so disconnected these days. So, yeah. And I'm trying now to, I just moved to Santa Fe, New Mexico. So I'm trying to build local community as well. And that's also giving me so much joy is going in person. And I love when people on Substack meet in person too. Um, so I invite anyone to to reach out to me and come visit as well. So yeah. But yeah, it's kind of funny how some things kind of come full circle. I've just been reflecting in a lot of my writing about, how we have certain work experiences that were like, this seems really random. But then years later, you're like, wait a second, this makes total sense. Like I know why this fit into my career. And so one of those random experiences I had was my very first internship, which was with the word of mouth marketing agency.
I like that.
And so I was like, I at first I was like, I don't get it. What is it? And then essentially it's relationship marketing, right? Like how can you get people to be loyal to your brand, to really be influenced by you, to be so enamored with you as a person that they'll like buy anything that you put out there, right? I mean, that's the ideal for all of us, right? It's that they're just, they resonate so much with you as an individual.
Right, right.
Um, and that they're going to spread the word about you essentially, right? So yeah, at that time I was like, I don't know where this is going to fit into the world of what I'm doing. But essentially it's very, very much related to how I run my business now. So, it's fun to look at some of those experiences and then look back at what's the golden thread between everything. And so I'm sure that you also through your experiences, going to Iraq and Israel and, you know, what you saw there and how you developed your leadership, it was all training grounds essentially for what you're doing now. So I find that really fun to think about our life as not just merely random. So I
I
don't know
couldn't
what you
agree
think
more.
about, huh? You,
I couldn't agree more. The things that I took with me over there was resilience, okay? Was
yeah.
all the power that I possess inside. Okay, the ability to communicate with others regardless of the language they speak, because you can tell more about what a person is saying by paying attention to their body than what they're actually saying in their mouth, coming out of their mouth, because
Mm,
sometimes the two things don't match up. Okay,
sure.
and that's a red flag.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So you developed your intuitive abilities there, basically,
Absolutely, your
right?
life
Like,
your life depend on it,
yeah, it's like survival. Right. So
right?
you could call on people's bluffs, basically. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know when to get out of Dodge. Okay.
Right, totally.
Absolutely. Because when you
Yeah.
listen to your body, it'll tell you before it registers to your mind, get the hell up out of here. Okay.
Oh,
This is
yeah,
not the place you want to be.
absolutely.
Right.
And, I mean, I think all of us have that capacity, whether or not, we've worked on them, to the like CIA level. But we totally can. And I think all of us have been in situations with people where we're like, what what they're saying sounds good, but
Mm.
something feels so off. Like, I just want to get out of this conversation or this call. I want to run for my life, and for me, sometimes that happens in the dating realm too, where I'm like, this person, they're so great on paper, and then you're like, oh no, that I just there's this feeling, right? And so I think all of us have that when we go into different environments, and it's about navigating it and, to be honest, just exiting. I think some of us are too nice and are like, I'm just gonna sit in this call or conversation
Mm-mm.
and I'm gonna somehow like override my instincts too, because like of what they're saying. You're like, oh, but it makes logical sense. So, but I think that like we said is a superpower to really, really trust what's going on in our body because it's signaling to us you know, how to make the right decisions. And similarly, you can have beautiful, heartfelt feelings about someone, and it doesn't make any sense. Right?
Yeah,
It's like
right.
opposite where you're like, there's something to this I need to pursue. I don't have all the facts, but somehow my heart is telling me to go in this direction or be in this environment or I think in my case it was like take the leap and move to a totally different location as well. And so, we have to act on those instincts. Otherwise we're going to definitely learn the hard way. Right? So
Absolutely. Save yourself some grief and
yeah,
follow your intuition. Okay.
exactly. Absolutely. So yeah, and that's what I believe is one of the pillars of a multidimensional leader, or at least how I define it. And there's different avenues to that, but leaning into our intuitive leadership, our empathy and love for people as well. And then, bringing in different elements of our gifts. And many of us are multi-talented and have multiple things that we bring into a container. If you're a coach or you have services that are, one-on-one, it's like people are not hiring you just, let's just say, like let's say you sell legal services. Okay. I mean, yes, they need the legal services, but it's all the other things that you bring as an individual, that is why they hired you, but also skills and talents and a being that is marketable. So we don't really like market those things enough. Because some of it's like soft skills, right? Some of it is
Right.
people skills and the ability to empathize with someone's situation and to know where they're coming from, to understand the dynamics that they're in. Um, so all of those things come into play when we work with people, that we just don't really reflect enough on or outwardly describe it, as well. And I think we should all cherish, those softer skills and those abilities that we have. That is what differentiates us and is why someone would work with you versus somebody else in a crowded space. So, yeah, I just encourage people to share all those abilities with people when you're having conversations with them. And then B also builds multiple sources of income around those different abilities. And I think it really starts with getting to know yourself intimately as well. And that's something that people don't always take a pause to do. We're just so focused on like um, making money and what the next thing is. And but yeah, tapping more into, okay, God has given me this specific skill set. Sometimes people get these gifts as in a skill set that they didn't have to work very hard at. And I think that's sometimes a clue, right? So it's something called like a savant syndrome where
Mm.
people come into this life. Sometimes it happens after an accident where, they have a brain injury or something like that, and then
Hmm.
suddenly they become like a musician overnight, right?
Mm.
So
Okay.
some of those gifts can actually come into our orbit, if we're willing and able to a be open to them. I'm not necessarily saying everyone needs to like get into a car accident, but I have experienced myself where I have received more spiritual gifts over time.
Mm. Mm.
And I've been reflecting on, okay, well, if I'm getting those gifts, they're for a specific use, right? Like it's a shame to have these things that you possess and not share them with the world, right? Like they're not meant to
Exactly.
be kind of like hidden in the back. Um, and so I think reflecting on what are those things that you do really naturally, really easily? And that is, pointing a finger into, okay, what you can lean into more. And the more you lean into that, the more things can sometimes come in for you as well to help you along your path. So I don't know if you've experienced some of that kind of um, in your journey as well. It's like new gifts coming into your life.
Yes, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. I didn't realize okay, when I first started working for the government, things were just moving. There was difficulties, okay, but I started off as a GS4 temporary, okay, and that only was supposed to last 6 months.
Mm.
So before the 6 months, that give them an opportunity to see what I'm about, whether they want to keep me or not. And I'm like, okay. So I started looking for another job within a couple of months after I started, and I was able to
Mm.
find another job in another location before my 6 months was over. Okay. And then I got a permanent position. And then from
Yeah.
there, uh, then I became a QA, a quality assurance representative. Okay. And, um, and then after that, they sent me to a base and started doing inspections on roofs. Okay.
Mhm.
And and so all of these different skills, I just kept following the path, and I just kept following the path until I got to this last location where I had a bunch of problems. Okay. It was so horrible that I had
Mhm.
to walk away from the job. That's because it was something else that I was supposed to be doing. And I was ignoring it. I was like, okay,
Oh,
I'm gonna put it off because I want to get this done another year. But I kept being pulled back. Okay. And they kept
sure.
messing with me so bad that I walked away. And so that's because of something else for me to do. And that was this. Okay.
Right.
So we have to listen to that voice. The higher power is calling us, and it's
Mhm.
calling us for a reason to use our gifts that we were given,
Yes,
okay? That we were born with and we didn't realize we had, okay? I was told that I am an empath intuitive. I knew partially that I was, but when I came to Substack, I found out. Then they said, okay, well, you're also a manifesting generator, human
uh-huh,
design as
totally.
yourself. So,
Yeah,
okay. And so I'm looking at all this power that I have, spiritual power. You have all of these different powers that we have, a personal power, okay, sacred power, creativity, all of these things we have within us. And I just didn't realize it. And
totally.
once it reveals itself, then you become this different person. Okay. It's like you were reborn. Okay. And you don't even see life the same. It's different.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been through so many death and rebirths as you explain it. So it's an interesting process. Um, but yeah, I was just trying to think through like the tidbits that you were sharing. Um, it seems like you got a lot of skill sets in, looking at the details and because you were saying
Yes.
quality assurance and inspection. So I think that's, maybe that's also something you were picking up on and that you can utilize, which is going into maybe someone's problem or someone's business and like auditing it and saying, okay, I see the holes here and the holes over here that you're not seeing. They seem to be plain in sight for me, but not necessarily, for other people. So, I guess it's just really, really interesting how things that we think are so different are actually like training grounds for you.
You know
So,
what? I'm sorry to cut you off, but if
yeah,
something just came to me, the reason why this happened, okay? Because when I was growing up, religion, uh, everything is inspected. Everything is dissected and criticized and everything and judged. So when I went to work with the military, it just made sense because that's something that, poking at people's mistakes and the
sure.
things that needed correcting, okay?
Yeah.
And it was done to me, but at such degree that it just
Wow.
broke down my self-confidence. Okay?
Mhm.
The same thing that happened when I was growing up, same thing in the military. Okay? The thing is, nothing is 100%. Period. I don't care who you are, you're going to get some errors. You're going to get at least 1 or 2% errors. So, show me a
For
person that's
sure.
perfect. Okay, they don't exist
No.
in this world. Okay,
Totally.
so you can nitpick something to death. So what? My thing
Mhm.
is, I'm going to be different. Okay. When I'm
Yeah.
working with people, yeah, we all make mistakes. I look at the good that you brought into the to the situation, not what you made a mistake on. Because when you keep
Mm.
constantly criticizing people, they're
Totally.
not going to want to talk to you. They're not going to want to be near you, and you repel people from you. So how do you change that? You be different. You be just the opposite. You say, "Hey, you did a great job." Okay, um, we still got a little ways to go. How can
Mhm.
we improve going down the road? That's how you
Totally.
want to relate to people. Okay, on
Right.
that level. On that level. Okay.
Absolutely. And you're the person to do that in a graceful way because you've experienced people who've done it in a very negative way that, chips away at your confidence, etc. And yeah, of course there's this balance that needs to be had because you do want to tell people the truth, right? Like you don't want
Right.
to just stroke their ego and be like, "You're great."
Right.
That's not really being of service to them either. But yeah, I think you're catching on to something where it's this fine balance of like encouragement and also shining a light on all the good things, as well as like areas of improvement too. So, um,
Absolutely. Because when you have an employee, because we all have businesses. The
sure.
first thing I do when you sit down, I'm going to talk about all the good things that you did and how I appreciate your work. However, in this area, I think what do you think about this area here? Maybe I'll put it back on them so they don't think I'm. What do you think about this area right here? Because we all have
Sure.
areas in which we can improve. Okay, let's
Yeah.
keep it real. Nobody is perfect. Like I said, so it's
Yeah.
the way you approach the conversation.
Right.
Okay,
Right. And
right.
that does go back to leadership as well. So this is totally a leadership skill, that people, it's nuanced for sure. Um, and sometimes, we also have to take responsibility for like where we went astray in guiding people as well, if it's within our organization. So that's one element to it as well. And I think we're all improving there. And sometimes it does come down to like I always ask people that end up working with me, I want to know their astrological chart, I want to know their human design, I want to know like all their personality tests. Like I kind of like make them go through the hoops of that. because I want to know how they tick. And it's so that I can understand them in a deeper level and understand how I can better work with them and how I can better utilize their skill sets and where I they can be positioned so that they can, shine better as well. So I think that's another thing we need to keep in mind if, whether it's your team, whether it's collaborators, especially if you're, doing a joint venture of some sort, is like, how can we get to know that person and how they tick and how they behave so that I can bring in, complementary ways of being and I can understand where they're coming from as well, because of their makeup, right? And so I think that's more of what we need to establish in our communities, in our businesses. So definitely something to encourage everyone to do is just to spend time, getting to know, someone's not just being, but also what their goals are too, what their ultimate goals are. And hopefully they'll tell you the truth because sometimes when you employ people, they're not going to be like, well, I want to, exit and leave your company. But I kind of encourage people to say it anyway, right? Because I mean, it's just realistic that someone's not going to necessarily stay with you forever. So,
Well, if you treat people poorly, they won't. See? And so
sure. Yeah.
so the thing of it is you treat people with dignity and respect and you treat people the way you want to be treated, more than likely they may stay. Providing, you're taking care of them by giving them, you know, uh, annual bonuses or whatever and recognizing them for their work, right?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there's that element, and then there's also, intrinsic motivation, and that's why I'm saying, get to know someone more deeply because you want to understand like what their mission is, what their passions are, and see if there is an alignment between what you need to get done and, what their desires are as well. And if there's some kind of middle ground there, then it's a win-win for everyone.
Yes, yes, the generation now, I forgot which one it is. Anyway, they want to know what's in it for them. You got to have shared interests and shared goals in order to get people's buy-in. Okay,
Yeah.
what are you giving me? So you got to have a training. You got to figure out, okay, the training for this person. If they're going to stay with you, they're not going to stay with you if you're not going to give them adequate training and adequate things to take care of their basic needs and so on and so forth. Okay, how are we going to retain people? Training and performance management. You'd have to think
Yeah.
about all of these things. Okay, how are
Yeah.
you going to keep this person motivated to work for you? What type of opportunities are you going to have for them down the road? Okay, if you're going to
Totally.
sit there and just give me some stuff, typing or whatever to do, that's boring. I'm not gonna stay there very long. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I like not to get into a whole other topic, but I do feel like, there is a generation of people who just want to like jump to the top and not sort of like take the ladder steps to getting there. I mean, the first few years of my working life was pretty boring, but I still learned a lot because I was observing, how the business was working and other aspects of the dynamics. And so there was a lot I was learning, even though, I was given like some of the stuff that wasn't the most, amazing work. But I think there needs to be still more, gratitude and not necessarily like I am owed this type of, um, mindset. And the other thing is that I worked at organizations that were very entrepreneurial. So it was something I loved, and I forget that not everybody ticks that way. But, for me, it was like people didn't give me any training. Like they gave me zero training and then they were like, go do this. And I thrived in that because I figured out how to do it. And that was my training ground because it was like, I've got very little information. Like, what can I now do? And so I got really creative with finding the solutions and the answers.
You figured it
So,
out.
you figure it out, right? You figure it out. And we've got the internet, we've got ChatGPT now. There's a lot of things that we could YouTube. There's a lot of things we can leverage to be entrepreneurial. Um, and so, yeah, sometimes I hope that people that I work with have that kind of mindset too, but I realize it's not everybody for sure. Some people that need like different levels of hand holding and guidance and so, but so it can vary for sure.
True, true, true.
And it definitely helps for anybody to write down the standard operating procedures of your business just generally for yourself to make it easier to comprehend what you're doing, how you can make it faster. And then, you've got a, a body of work that you can just hand over to someone, and that's the training ground. So that makes it easier not to have to do something from scratch, but just as you're building different blocks of your business. So, like, for example, I have standard operating procedures now for a virtual summit because I've done, two of them. And, that doesn't mean like next year I can't add to it, improve it, etc. But at least I've documented what I've done so that I'm not gonna like be like, oh yeah, what was the next step? Like when it comes to next year when I do it again, it's just all available to me and anybody else that ends up working with me. So all of those things are definitely helpful. But yeah, I do hope that the people that we bring into our businesses are also going to take that, run with it, and also improve on it or be like, how about this? How about we do it in a different way, right? Rather than being robots and being like, okay, I'm just going to follow these steps. It's like, no, let's be creative. Let's utilize your gifts for how to make this better. So anyway, those are the things that I think about when hiring. So it's or just interpersonal dynamics with other people. And then when you when you're having a conversation with potential collaborators, you want to ask them the questions that are going to help you understand, is this somebody who is a leader, basically? You
Right?
know, is this somebody who is going to take something and run with it? Um, or, is it going to be me bogged down into like every detail to help them figure it out? So, you know, choice is yours. Yeah, I know we've all gone through these experiences, I'm sure,
Hmm. Absolutely. Now, one of the things I want to ask you about is we are such giving people,
Mhm.
and we don't always get it back. Okay.
Right. Totally.
So how do you protect your energy and how you protect yourself of from, you know,
Yeah. Well, I've got like an entire chapter in the book I'm writing about martyrdom. This is what I call martyrdom because I definitely have had that. I don't know about you, but
yeah.
there are just some things that I just feel so called to do for other people, to
Hmm.
showcase other people on my platform, to share whatever, anybody that comes into my field, I just want to help. Like that is how I'm wired. And I've realized that the universe works in the form of balance, right? There needs to be a balance of giving and reciprocity. Um, Now I have received amazing miracles, and financial miracles and otherwise, that I think came from the fact that I was, giving without expectation of any return.
Okay.
So I do think that, you know, there are things that it's not necessarily going to come back to you from that
Right.
particular person,
Right.
but, there's, something in the field that is going to return that love and gratitude back to you. So I do believe that. However, if we're focusing so much on, other people that we forget, that we need to make money in our business, or that we forget, to take care of ourselves, then it becomes off balance. Then it gets into the martyrdom aspect, right? And there frankly are certain individuals, and it's going back to your intuition aspect,
Okay.
right? You've
Right.
got to be intuitive about who you end up giving to. Like there is discernment that comes into play because there are just people who are not deserving of it, are going to take it and then backstab you in some way, right? Even though
Yes.
you gave to
Yes.
them, like they're gonna go
Yes.
come back and because for whatever reason they're jealous or who knows what their agenda is, right? So you gotta understand, like, also are people coming in with a certain perception about you or agenda? And so, you want to guard yourself from that for sure. Um, and yeah, I think some people come in and try to waste your time, and try to just come in and extract things from you. And then like I've had definitely people who have asked me for coffee chats, and what they really wanted was a free session. Which, sometimes I do. Sometimes I do give that out with people who I feel like are really genuinely needing it, or again, coming from a gratitude space. But if they're coming in knowingly being like, oh, I'm just going to try to extract as much information from this person as I can without paying them, then, you kind of see what their intentions are, and try to put some guardrails around that. So that you're, again, that, there's a term that, one of our contributors for the multidimensional leaders, her name is Malika. She talks about extraction fatigue. And so that's what happens is if you're too willing to give all your advice for free, people are going to come in and take and take and take. Like they're not going to stop. There's not even going to be like, they're just going to be like, "Oh, great. Well, now let's do more of this." So, you've got to be discerning of who's really going to love and appreciate, any kind of gesture towards them, and people who are going to probably keep you in mind in the back of their head, or are going to support you in some other way, versus people who are just there to take. And so we've all had to learn the hard way. Um, and sometimes these people can really come in disguise. Like I've definitely, you know, come across individuals that at first seem really genuine and kind of like fall a little bit in the victim mentality. And so, um, but then, you realize they're actually like a wolf. They're just trying to take from you. So I think it's just coming from experience over time and getting to know people a little bit. And then You just decide, okay, like I said before, when we started, there's the inner circle and there's the outer circle, and then there's everyone else, right? And the inner circle is only going to be a few people that you really, really give to. And you have to really narrow down the criteria of who that is, right? And then the people in your outer circle are going to be, you're still going to give, but it's not going to be, everything and anything, right? There's got to be some limits to it, some parameters to it. Um, so yeah, I think we all need to learn and navigate this question because we do want to give, like I said.
Right.
Um, and sometimes, the universe puts people in your path so that you can help them for sure. Um, but, it's leaning into your intuition overall. So,
I couldn't agree more. I'm going to take this time right now and see if anybody has any questions.
sure.
Yeah, we've had a lot of activity here.
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
So, thank you so much. You see anything?
Yeah, I think Kaz was talking about when we were talking about hiring experience. Um, so I guess I think it's a he or she. I can't
She,
tell.
she.
She, her, has many graduates that she interviewed for her um, TV production. So that's interesting. That would be interesting to hear your experience with interviewing and how you ended up finding the ideal candidates for sure. Um, and then I think the Perez sisters, I'm not sure exactly what you were referring to. The big problem in our society now, lots of skip steps, lessons, and knowledge. Oh, okay. That's when we were talking about the new generation. Um, yeah, I think we definitely need to go through sometimes ladders.
Yeah.
I know we hate hierarchy for sure. But there are steps we need to learn to get to where we're going. So interesting.
Absolutely. Stella said the core technical skills is also interpersonal skills, empathy, active listening, communication, etc. And you are right. These skills are really what really makes the difference.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for that, Stella. Appreciate it. Um, yeah.
M-
What else?
Maggie,
What else?
oh, oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Maggie
Go
said
ahead.
that you're talking about this, leaning into what comes easy for you. She said, my husband and I have been having this conversation so much just within the last few days.
Oh, cool. Amazing. Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear more about um what conclusion you guys come to as well. Um, oh yeah, I think Maggie also talked about the zone of genius for sure. Um, yeah, I think that this is an area I've been contemplating a lot, which is that a few years ago I was so hung up on the idea of ikigai, like to a
Mm.
point of obsession. It's that chart where it's like what you're good at, what you're passionate about, what the market needs, and then what you can make money doing. And I've so wanted to fit myself into that into that integrated version that I think I was really missing out on doing various things, right? Like having a portfolio career where one of my talents can be expressed in this way. Like, for example, I have like an events background and marketing background. And so I do really love bringing people together in the format of an in-person event. So, I'm building retreats now, right? So that's like leveraging that skill set that I love, right? So then also you can create a different offer that's leveraging a different skill set, right? So you don't necessarily have to bring it all into one amazing package. Why not express yourself in different ways? And that could come out in hobbies, that can come out in volunteering, that could come into your business as well. But there's, different ways to go about it. And so I encourage people to think about like, it's not one zone of genius, but it's like you've got islands of geniuses that you can tap into. So,
That's awesome. Um, is there anything else that you would like to share?
um, let's see. I don't know if there's any more questions, but yeah, feel free to get in touch with either one of us. I've got a couple different publications. One is the Multidimensional Leaders. The other one is Build Your Influence. And then the third is Sell Your Brilliance, which is the one that I am uh, getting everyone on a journey with regards to my book and having some integrative practices for everybody. So it's not just, you read something and then a few months later, you kind of forget what's there. um, but there's actual, meditations that I'm going to be doing to really integrate the specific exercises that I share. So that is where I live, and I'm always looking for um, people who are like-minded to either have conversations with or to contribute to the Multidimensional Leaders Substack as well. So if you consider yourself one of those people, I definitely would love to connect with you. So yeah, I don't know if there's any last words on your part.
Um, well, I just want everybody to stay encouraged. And Michelle, thank you so much for all the work that you do and for the help that you've provided for me. And I want to thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be on here with you. And yeah,
Thank
you're
you.
just such a bundle of joy. And I appreciate your presence as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Bye
Bye.
bye.